Hello viewers. In this episode of Momentum, we have a very wonderful guest whom I always appreciate, and I also have observed youngsters take him as a role model. So let me present before you Mr. Anup Dandekar. Mr. Anup, I always have seen being an HR and being a person who also does along with HR many people development processes. You are always so jolly, so happy, and so happening. May we know something about you?
Sure. Let me first start with my introduction. And I am Anup Dandekar. Currently, I am working with a company which is one of my dream company that is called Royce Power System. And I am here working as a transformation coach where I am managing to create some differences into the people's life, obviously very positively, so that they can become a better version of them. So yeah, definitely, it's a wonderful journey so far, Dr. Dash.
I just love it. And I know you are in this journey of HR for such a long time, and you have gone beyond HR. You also do a lot of other people development processes. Also, we know that neuro-linguistic programming, we popularly call as NLP.
Yep.
We know that it is scientific. Many successful people in their life, they have been using NLP. Have you ever seen people who are successful using NLP and they have realized that it is scientific, and have you realized it is scientific?
Oh yes, definitely. If I tell you, most of the successful people consciously, unconsciously use NLP.
Wow.
And it's very inspiring. Though many people do not know about, this is the NLP concept or NLP technique, I done good amount of research before I get into this field of NLP.
Wow.
And what I really found out that it is very, very scientific.
Amazing.
And I've seen people using NLP and they have really transformed their life.
Wow.
And yes, and it's very inspirational, and I really got that inspiration from some of the successful people which I really love to look into it. And they are now in the very high performing path. And I think that's what the NLP has really made a difference.
Absolutely. I'm quite moved with this. And I also would like to know, in fact, since I represent my audience, I would first like to know from you, what are the areas in your professional life you have really used the elements of NLP, and if you can share that with us?
NLP is everywhere.
Yes.
And if I talk about in the field of HR, I think NLP we can, or I can use mainly into the 3 to 4 areas. One, definitely in the field of recruitment, when we actually hire the people and when we are taking the personal interviews, that time we can see their sensory cues.
Wow.
We also see their body language.
Wow.
And it's definitely will be very helpful as an interviewer to have a great rapport with your interviewee.
Oh, that is interesting.
That makes the interviewee more and more relaxed.
Yes.
So that we get the best out of the interviewee in that period of time.
Yes.
I also use NLP in the field of learning and development.
Wow.
Learning and development, if you see, there are different aspects in NLD, like in the field of training need analysis.
Wow.
I use meta model.
Wow.
Concept integration and hierarchy of ideas.
Well, I think this is absolutely right. When we get hierarchy of ideas, we know where the person is and what he wants to really learn it. So see viewers, we just generally, when you do incorporate training need analysis, generally the common mechanism we follow is we go to the performance appraisal data, we take this as a training need. Sometimes we do also competency driven training needs. Here what I learned from Mr. Anup is there is an interesting mechanism, even with the competency driven training need analysis, you can really use meta model questions where you get on questioning deeper and deeper and deeper to understand where is the core, what needs to be trained. And he also mentioned about something hierarchy of ideas. This is wonderful to know, and I'm also quite enthused to see that he is using path integration. That is definitely that can lead to a part of training need analysis. Then after training need analysis, when you talk about training model design and delivery, so how have you seen application of NLPs there?
Specifically in the training model delivery, I see very very powerful technique from the NLP, which helpful to me as well as my individual life is NLP logical levels.
Oh, I love this. I love this.
And basically, in the training programs, we love to understand where the problem lies.
Wow.
And Robert Dilt's NLP logical level actually help people to understand where the problem is, whether it is at the behavioral level. And if you remember, problem cannot be solved at the level it get created. It has to go up
I love this.
to solve it.
Yes.
So I think the NLP logical level helps over there to really deliver those powerful content, so that it's not only for that moment, it's for a more sustainable period. Is what I learned.
Wow, friends, well, I'm quite touched when Mr. Anup spoke about NLP logical levels. And as you know, we have got 6 logical levels. So, and wherever the problem is created, it can be solved at a higher level. And for all of you to again have a relook at logical levels, we have got the level which is the bottom level that we call as environment, then we call it as the actions or behaviors, then we call it the capability, then we call it as the values and beliefs, then we say identity, and the top one is the vision or mission. That means if the problem is an area, we may go a level up and we can solve over there. And I can tell you, training delivery logical levels has got a very, very highest level of impact. And have you also seen, like most of the trainers, when they do that, knowingly or unknowingly, they use a lot of submodality elements into the training delivery.
Oh yes.
So
Absolutely.
have you also seen that application of that in your training delivery?
Specifically in the field of whenever we wanted to instill higher competencies into the people's career or in the personality, with the help of submodalities, we replace those higher competencies elements with the lower competencies, and then the people able to take the higher steps and become more proficient and professional and high performer into their life.
Wow, this is amazing, I tell you. So everybody has, when they start to be trained, there is a level of competency, it has an imprint, and wherever they want to go, that is also a level of competency, it has an imprint. I completely agree with Mr. Anup. He showed that when we train, what we do ultimately, whatever mechanism is used, whatever processes we use, and whatever linguistics we use, we actually replace or whatever we call as mapping across in our term of NLP, the imprints of the higher level of competency, often the imprints of the competent level, present level of competencies, and that is what people develop. Mr. Anup, I'm feeling so good. You are having such a higher level of expertise that you are helping all of us to know how NLP is helpful. Have you also seen application of NLP, the scientific application of NLP, in negotiations and bargainings in the part of HR and other operational issues in companies?
Oh yes, definitely. It's a very prevalent area in the field of. I can tell you the example of customer experience.
Wow.
In the field of HR, specifically onboarding experience. When we say the customer experience, the employee experience also matter a lot. And onboarding experience, when a person joined the day one, that time when we are able to create the rapport with a person from the day one,
Wow.
and provide and understand what the people or the employee need,
Amazing.
and give that that kind of inputs to a person, then the person's actually, if you remember that first 2 hours, an employee decide based on the experience whether he or she wants to be in the organization a longer period of time or not.
Oh, I love this.
And NLP techniques like rapport building or giving that changes into that submodality from moving from the one level to the desired level helps a lot, and that actually help us as a Rolls Royce to reduce the attrition. It also helps us to create that wow moment into the employee experience, because ultimately employees are our brand ambassadors, and when we give that great feeling to the employee, they talk to the rest of the people around them, and that's create a larger brand name for the organization.
Wow. Friends, as much as I'm talking to Anup, I'm just getting involved so much into this conversation because I see he has used this. And from his experience when he's talking the scientific aspects, I'm quite enthused and touched with this. And rightly he said, within the first 2 hours, the person decides. That means, like we magnetize, so like a magnet, what we do, we induce the magnetism into any of the metals. So if the induction of magnetism is proper, then we can keep things attracted. Similarly, if that induction in the mind of the person, the thought is that yes, this is the right place for me, where I can contribute and I can grow, and my contribution also add value to the organizational growth. And this is something, as Mr. Anup mentioned, that can be done by the process of NLP. This is super. Now, another aspect, I know that you are a transformational switch coach. Am I pronouncing it right?
Absolutely.
Transformational switch
Yes,
coach?
transformation switch
Coach.
Yes.
Wow, this is interesting terminology. Yeah? And you as a transformational switch coach, you have been coaching people.
Absolutely.
And I also know that you are a certified coach as well from different certifying bodies. And there also in the coaching mechanism, how have you seen the application of NLP is there in transforming people?
In the coaching world, NLP works so well, and I want to tell you here is that the breakthrough coaching, which we use in the field of NLP, is obviously one of the form of grow model in the coaching. And here we take the coachee to the next level. And in the coaching field, we don't give a solutions or advices to the coachee. We basically explore the persons by himself or herself and take a person to the desired outcome. NLP is magically working here.
Wow.
Where a person from the day itself decide that he or she needs a coaching. So in the field of coaching specifically, NLP works magically well.
Wow.
Some of the powerful technique from the NLP like quantum linguistic, also the meta models, moving a person from the time line therapy, and also it's also about the NLP logical levels. As a coach, the first thing which I really wanted to know that where the person lies and where the problem is. NLP works so fantastic.
Wow.
As a coach, if I am not able to understand where the problem lies, probably I will not able to coach him or her further. So I think the NLP really works like magic.
Wow.
In all the field.
Very
Specifically in the field of coaching, it's worked like a magic.
Very good. And what are the particular elements of NLP utility you have seen?
And I also have seen the hierarchy of ideas.
Wow.
Then our meta models.
Wow.
Quantum linguistic. And the timeline therapy.
Wow.
In fact, the belief chain model
Oh, I love this.
works so well.
Wow.
And I also seen sometimes people carry some kind of unnecessary behaviors and that actually stopping them. So the switch is also one of the very powerful mechanism which I use as a switch coach to move a people from one level to another level.
Oh, wonderful. That is very, very interesting. You can see everything that we do in any of the modalities, how the inclusion of the elements of NLP is absolutely there. That's why it is a very wonderful thing. Have you also seen the application of the model TOTE, we call about in NLP, that is strategy, that is test, operate, test, exit.
Yes.
There in behavioral change for people.
We use this, I specifically use this model in leadership development.
Oh.
And basically, whatever a leader learn at institutional level, that has to also be implemented well.
Oh.
And if it is working well, then absolutely it is something giving a results. Then a person has to start applying it in a better way, in the more often. And I think over there, I see the TOTE model work absolutely well, in specifically for the new leader who is just into the shoes of leadership. And with this model, I think he or she can really learn a lot and apply and become a more powerful leader in the field of organization development.
I love this. This is something very interesting, viewers. what Mr. Anup mentioned is that every leader, when they perform, there is a taught model, and he mentioned, can it again be applied on someone else? That means, can another person be a leader like him? So if this taught can be replicated, then the other person can be a leader like this. This is something, I just feel so good about knowing the application of taught model even in leadership development. And from leadership, I remember, as you are growing in your career, you have got such a wonderful experience. You are also educated from a very reputed institution. Do you also have a leader as a role model for you?
Yes, I do have. And there are, as I grow in my life, my role models in a particular level is, keep on changing from the one level to another level. And at this point of time, when I'm already become a coach, I definitely would like to be somebody like Marshall Goldsmith.
Wow.
He is one of my role model, and I can also see my own OD director.
Oh, wow.
I'm so inspiring the way my OD director works, and I think I can definitely model all of them to my success.
So what I can see from Mr. Anup is he has two role models. One is from the organization where he is working. Second is from the field of coaching, which is definitely both of them are big names. I love it. And another question before we let the audience to summarize their own learning is that why do you think or why do you realize that NLP is scientific?
Oh, I love this question. NLP is definitely a scientific method, and there are two ways. From my knowledge perspective, what is science? Science is the cause and effect.
Oh, yes.
So one side you do something and you get the result on another hand.
Yes.
NLP is exactly like this.
Yes.
You apply some of the tools and technique and it gives you the result.
Yes.
And that result is not a one time.
Oh, wow.
It is every time giving an excellent result at the same space. Though the human elements is a dynamic machine. However, it's always give you the excellence and the excellent and excellent every time. So what it means is the repetitive in the nature. And something which is giving you and the result which is repetitive in the nature, there is a fundamentals of science.
Wow.
And I see almost all the techniques of NLP are scientific, and it is giving such an excellent result which makes human more and more excellence towards success.
I love this. And it is really wonderful a discussion to learn from Mr. Anup Dandekar, who at present is with Rolls-Royce Power Systems. And this is amazingly poised, presented that how NLP is scientific. You can connect with Mr. Anup, and these are the coordinates. Do connect with him. He has got amazingly wonderful expertise with him. Watch our next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dash.
Thank you, Mr. Anup.